nocturnals, or afternoon or evening, wherever you are in the world. I want to just keep this as quick as I can, even though I'm going to try and get through a lot of information really fast. So basically, this is the process that I have that allows me to come up with a first draft within 2.5 to 3 weeks. Number one, come up with an idea. Now, that might be harder than you think, but basically there's 3 important things that you should think about when you're coming up with your idea. One is, who is the main character? Because those are the eyes that you see your film through. What is their goal? And what obstacles stand in the way of them reaching their goal? So, I mean, once you've come up with that, that's essentially the story. That is the basis of your story. It has to really be focused on this one character, at least when you're starting out. 2, make your characters 3-dimensional, and I don't mean animate them or create them in CGI. I mean, when you first come up with an idea, your characters might not be fleshed out, and you might dive into the script writing process, and then you're going to get stuck later on. I've had this a few times. So think about their history, their hang-ups, their favourite foods, their friends, their job, their home life. This will give you a really good basis for your character and flesh them out. And don't just do it for your main character, do it for all of your lead characters as well. Once you've sort of worked that out and you have your basic idea, then you'll know what that character is going to do in the scene. Like if you've created Harry the handyman, but you've decided he has a heroin addiction. So when he's left alone to his own devices, he's going to be searching through to look for loose change or cash or things he can steal to sell for his heroin. Number 3, write your one-page script pitch. One-page pitch. Now, one-page pitch is your the title of your story, the duration, the genre of your story, whether it's a horror, an action, or a drama, the log line, and the story synopsis. And the story synopsis is just a really brief description of what your story is about. Your log line might be the sort of thing that you see on the posters sometimes, or it's essentially your hook. It has to be one sentence. It's got to be really, really concise and quick, but it's got to make the person want to read your script or watch your movie. 4, write the treatment. Write a 4 to 5 page treatment. And in order to write the treatment, you really have to map out your story structure to begin with. I'm working with a 3-act structure, which is, from what I've been taught, is more of a 5-act structure or a 6-act structure. But it breaks down to Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, right? But there's also Act 1, then there's plot point 1, is when Act 1 turns into Act 2. It's the inciting incident that creates the drama, that brings your character into the story. Act 1 is really just establishing your character. Plot point 1 is to move them over to actually the conflict of the story. Then you've got your midpoint, which is your halfway point between Act 2, between Act 1 and Act 3. It's the middle of your film. And at the end of Act 2 is plot point 2. Plot point 2 is the same as plot point 1 in that it is the turning point from Act 2, from the conflict to the resolution. So essentially, Act 1 is establishing your character, Act 2 is creating the conflict, and Act 3 is the resolution of your story. So in order to do a good 4 to 5 page treatment, what I've been researching, what I've read and what I've learned so far is write a narrative description of Act 1. So write it as if you're writing a story in a book, and it can be about 1 page, it can be less, but I'm just talking about the beginning of your film. So write the beginning of your film in a narrative description. Then list all the events that happen in Act 1. Then write a narrative description of plot point 1. Then write all of the events that happen in Act 2, and then write your narrative description of plot point 2. Then write all of the events in Act 3, and then once you've done that, you write the ending of your film. Now I don't mean write it all out, I'm just talking about just in bullet points if you want. You write a narrative description, like as if you're writing a story. Henry goes to the barn, there's a storm outside. You can be colourful and creative at this point. It's just really something to warm you up and get you moving, and it's also something you can show to people so that they understand what you're trying to achieve with your script. Then you move on to brainstorming those events, fleshing those events out a bit. So the way that I've learned how to do it from the research that I've had is to write 14 events that happen between Act 1 and plot point 1. And once you've done that, write 14 events that happen between plot point 1 and the midpoint of your film, and then write 14 events that happen from your midpoint of your film to plot point 2, and then write 14 events that happen between plot point 2 and the end of your film. Like if you write 2 pages at least for all of those events, then you'll be getting close to your sweet spot. And your sweet spot for your script is like 110 pages is really what they're looking for. Anything more is too much to read, anything less there's not enough of a story. So then you can begin the writing process. Now, like I say, 2 pages for each of those 14 events will really help you. You can write a little bit less or a little bit more, but that will get you close to your 110 pages. And at this point, you just really want to map out your entire story. It's a first draft. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you have to have the whole story there. This is how I do it. One, I set goals. Say 5 to 10 pages is a good goal. If you're going to try and write a feature script in 2 to 3 weeks, then you're going to have to write at least like 10 pages or 5 to 10 pages a day in order to achieve that goal. Be disciplined. In other words, make sure that you do those 5 to 10 pages, or I mean, you don't have to achieve 5 to 10 pages every day. You could just, if you have a bad day, you could just write 2 to 3 pages, but always write every day. You can always rewrite it afterwards. You can always have a better idea about how to do those things down the track, but this is just to get that first draft out of you, just to get that story down on paper. And the third thing that I can advise when you're writing is be healthy. This is really important. Eat well, exercise well. Exercise and good food is good for the brain, keeps the brain moving, keeps the cogs going, and it will just help you achieve your script. The other thing I do, I'm just going to teach you a little trick that I use, is when I'm writing, because I used to write things by hand, and then I'd find out that after doing 5 to 10 pages, so even though that doesn't seem like a lot, my hand, I'd start to get RSI. So instead what I do is I use my cell phone and a piece of software called Evernote, and this little thing here, this little Bluetooth headset, so that I can just basically write anywhere. I can just talk it out. And when I'm writing, it becomes more of a conversation. So I'll show you right now a little bit about how that works. So then I push tab to speak. The car rushes down the road, the other car in hot pursuit. Hey, you passed him. What do you mean I passed him? I mean just that, you passed him just before. You went down that side road. I didn't see him. Well, I saw him. Are you sure? Yeah, man, you fully passed him. We have to turn around. You better be sure. I know what I saw, man. Okay, fine then. The car skids to a U-turn, turns around and starts racing back towards the side road. Yeah, so that's pretty much how I write while I'm walking the dogs. Having a little bit of trouble with Bandit at the moment. He's not really listening to me. So it becomes like a conversation with myself, which is a bit weird, but it works. You end up writing a lot. I'm doing it this way. It's walking and working at its best. Get in a dog walk and get a couple of pages down at the same time. Okay, so you've got to the point where you have your basic draft and things are going well. So the next thing to do is, if you haven't already been doing it as you go, if you've just been doing it into a Word document or something like that, is to revise your script, edit your script, and format your script. Now I use Final Draft. Final Draft is a really excellent piece of software. It's got really good formatting tools in it. But Final Draft is really good in that it's industry standard and a lot of industry people use it. It takes a lot of the guesswork out, so you don't have to do half the work. And this is what it's about. It's about doing things as quickly as possible for a first draft. Then I copyright my script, so I do this at the US Copyright Office online. It doesn't cost very much, it costs about $50 to copyright your script, so it's worth doing it. I do this before I've shown the script to anybody, because whether you trust them or not, their accounts can be hacked, your accounts can be hacked. So, and then somebody's going to end up with your script. And you can't copyright an idea. So if everybody's going, oh, that was my idea, that person stole my idea, forget about it. You can't copyright an idea, but you can copyright a script. Start to get feedback from friends and family. You know that your script is working if the feedback comes back quickly. But people are busy. There's no point of handing it out to 1,000 people. Everybody has jobs and families. Their motivation isn't to help you have a completed script. They're just interested, or maybe they just want to read what you've done. So give them some space to be able to read it, and once you get the feedback, like, you don't have to take the feedback if you get negative criticism on your script. You don't have to take that. If you get new ideas that they think will help it, but you don't really feel like that's the direction you want your script to go on, it's your script. Take ownership of that script. All you're doing is you just want to get some basic feedback from them about it. So once you've got your first 110-page first draft, then the next step really is to bind your script. So I'll put a link at the bottom of this just to show you how you can bind your script. It's a video I've done before, so have a look at that. Print it and bind it, because it just feels good, like, to have that physical evidence of a script, like 110 pages, nice weighty script. There it is. That's your trophy. That's your acknowledgement that you're a writer, that you're a serious writer, because there you have it. Like, lots of people come up with ideas, and I've done this so many times. This is why I use this process now, and then they don't complete it. So I've got shelves of uncompleted ideas. Again, you can't copyright an idea. Chances are you're going to tell your friends about it at a bar or something. Somebody was going to overhear that, or one of your friends isn't really as trustworthy as you think they're going to be, and they're going to run with that idea and take it from you. So you need to complete your script. At least they can't take that from you, because that takes work. So they might be able to steal your idea, but they won't be willing to put in the 3 weeks to do that first draft. So complete your idea, complete your script. Don't just have the seed, have the seedling.
Thanks for watching this Nocturnal Customs Limited production. Find us and give us a like on Facebook, and be sure to follow us on Twitter for more posts, videos and updates. You can also subscribe to us on YouTube, where we will be bringing you more regular content on filmmaking, animation, my original music, the occasional cover song, as well as more of our feature project releases as they happen. You can find out more information about us on nocturnal3d.com, or contact me directly by emailing visualnz@gmail.com. If you like, you can also follow or contact us on Twitter, where we regularly post as NocturnalNZ, or you can keep in contact by giving us a like on Facebook at Nocturnal Customs.